lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and with me today I have another awesome guest, another member of the Cartoonist Kayfabe ringside seats. Tony Fero is here to talk comics with me. Welcome, dude.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, my pleasure. So first off, for anybody that is not familiar with your work, could you share a little bit about yourself? You know, your history with comic books, how you got into comic books, and what made you decide to jump from not just being a fan, but a creator yourself?
Well, I kind of feel, I think like a lot of people, a lot of cartoonists, I feel like as soon as I've been reading comics since I was, able to read, or even before. I mean, I always remember having comics around when I was a kid, but I've always been like, as soon as I knew about comics, I was trying to draw comics, and obviously I think that's probably true of a lot of people, but it's whether or not you get serious about it. And it took me a long time to get serious about it. Like I just, I was trying to like sort of make comics for most of my life. And I started, I think like, when I was in my early 20s, I think I started trying to seriously do some stuff, but I never really had the, I guess the drive, or the gumption or whatever, to get it done, and so I would just abandon all these projects, it's like trying to do stuff. Let's see, it was around 2000, early 2000s at some point. I don't remember exactly when, but I had a website which was like a web zine where I like reviewed records and stuff and interviewed bands and stuff like that. So at that point I had this website and I was hosting a website. So I figured, okay, maybe this will be a good place to put some of these comics that I'm making. So I started throwing up, short stories up on the website. So that was like where the original like 21st Century Big Spider stuff was. It was just like these little short 4 or 5 page stories that I put up on the website. And then I also did started a Monster Youth story with my friend Mark McFinn, who wrote the Monster Youth. So we did a Monster Youth story, and I got about half of it done. I think 15 pages or something. We put that up on the website, and so that was my original. That was where I started doing stuff kind of seriously. It's a little bit half-assed, but at least it was like sort of getting stuff out there. Mm-hmm. And but I couldn't really figure out how to publish anything at that point. It wasn't like really like print on demand stuff wasn't really a viable option at that point, as far as I knew anyway.
Right.
So I wasn't, I didn't have like thousands of dollars to drop on, printing and stuff. So I was just kind of relegating these comics to just sort of throwing them up on the web, and maybe, a few people see them or whatever. I don't know exactly what the turning point was. I think it was probably just the availability of print on demand stuff where I really kind of got the idea that, I can actually publish this stuff, like like a real comic book,
Right.
And that was around 2015, I think. That's when I started working on the first issue of 21st Century Big Spider. And I put that out early in 2016. And, I've just been sort of steadily going since then, just, putting out an issue whenever I can. I was up until recently working a full-time job. So it was kind of hard to get a lot of stuff done quickly. So I was kind of, doing maybe an issue a year. And now I'm not working. So I'm like just working on comics now. I feel like I'm really kind of upping my productivity a lot. So I'm hoping to get a lot more stuff going out these days,
So can you talk a little bit about like you sent me a few of your things. You sent me 21st Century Big Spider. You sent me Ulf Maverick, which I really enjoyed. You sent me the book that had a bunch of your art in it. Can you talk a little bit about 21st Century Big Spider, like what the story is with that book, and then also lead us into Ulf Maverick?
Yeah, 21st Century Big Spider it's got a really kind of long, convoluted origin story, which I don't think I have time to get to really get deeply into it right now.
Okay.
But basically I just wanted to do something like, it's at the time, it's like I didn't really know what I wanted to do as far as like I don't tend to think of myself like, I'm not the kind of cartoonist who's like, I don't have like these grand stories that I want to tell. Like I don't sort of sit and think about like what is the what's a story that's really going to captivate people and try to come up with this whole new thing that nobody's heard before or whatever. It's for me it's like it's about I just like to draw. Basically the whole point is I just wanted a vehicle for like just to draw cool weird stuff and get and have like characters that have funny kind of dialogue is really but what it comes down to is like I'm not trying to do like anything all that deep, and so that was really it was really just I just came up with this sort of collection of weird characters that could get together and bounce one liners off of each other. It's like I was very influenced by Sam and Max, and so like I just like I just like that idea of like just these just weird characters in weird situations, just making stupid jokes and stuff.
Mhm.
And that's really what I wanted to do, but I just wanted to mix that with like kind of playing with some of the superhero tropes, I guess, or whatever. But that's really what that's about. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that. It's just it's I think it's a weird comic, but it's
So I like it a lot. So I think
it's one of those things where I don't know. I never know really what people think of it because it's so much of like just geared. It's completely like what I want to do. It's like based completely on my taste. It's like I have no expectations of anybody liking it other than me. I'm like, if you have like the same aesthetics that I do, you'll love it. But if not, probably not. So that's really what it is. It's just unbridled, like sort of just doing what the fuck I want and nothing else, And that's kind
Mhm.
of that's kind of why I keep coming back to it. Like whereas a lot of the other stuff I've done is like it's a little bit more focused. It's like, okay, this is this thing. I'm gonna try and do something like this, but the 21st century big spider is just kind of like anything goes.
And then Ulf Maverick, I think you mentioned like for it was like kind of a love letter type thing to like 80s black and white comics.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed that one. Like, I think that a lot of it is attributed to also the Kayfabe channel, right? And they showed like so many random black and white comics and the black and white explosion.
When I first, that was one of the things that really drew me into the Kayfabe channel. Actually, was because like when I first started seeing Kayfabe videos, like my friends would send me links and stuff, and it was like the wizard videos and stuff,
Mhm.
and I was not really particularly interested in that at the time because I was. Now you have to understand, like contextually, like my age, like I'm going to be 50 this year, so you got to think like at the time the image stuff was happening, that was like 92, 93, whatever. I was like 21, 22 years old. It's like I was not the target audience for that stuff.
Mhm.
So, at that point I was already, kind of like I had moved on to like indie books and stuff. I was reading, Love and Rockets and Eight Ball and Eight and all that. And so it was like I was kind of like that image stuff was like, that was kid stuff. I wasn't interested in it. I've certainly I've since come around to like really appreciate it for what it was, but at the
Mhm.
time I was just like I had no interest in that. So when the Kayfabe channel was like coming around, when it was first being I was first being exposed to it, I was thinking it was like just focused on Wizard and stuff, and I was like I don't really have much interest in that. But then I saw a video that they did. I don't remember what the context of the video was, but they were talking about a lot of 80s black and white comics, and that was what really got me interested because I was like heavily into that stuff, collecting that stuff at the time that it was coming out, and then also now, like I go back and just find whatever I can from that time period. I think that that's probably, if I had to pin it down, the comics that I enjoy looking at the most. I mean, there's obviously way better stuff out there. I mean, it's not really particularly good, most of it, but it's just so exciting and so just there's such an energy there of like I love the energy of just like artists who are just like they're just going for it. They're just swinging at the fences, and it's like they don't necessarily have the skills or the training that a lot of artists do, but they're just like, I don't care, man. I'm just giving it my all. And
Yeah.
that passion is there.
Yeah, they
And
got
that's
that fuck it mentality. Like
yeah,
I don't give a
it's
fuck. I'm
very
gonna do
punk
this
rock.
real quick.
It's very punk rock in a way. Like
Mhm.
it's very like kind of just that DIY. Just I'm just gonna do what the fuck what I can. This is what I
Mhm.
got, you know. And I really like that stuff. I like that about that stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where Elf Maverick came from. Was it originally was like I got the story actually from a dream. I sort of I actually dreamed a lot of that story. Um,
Oh, dope.
and it was like I was watching a movie in my dream, and this was the movie I was watching. So I was like, well, I can't make a movie, so I'm gonna try I'll make a comic of it. And so I mean, obviously that wasn't it's not verbatim from my dream, but I got certain elements of it. But that was when I was thinking about like what am I gonna do with this story, I thought it probably lend itself pretty well to that 86 black and white violent vigilante thing. Um,
Are we gonna see some more Elf Maverick in the future?
yeah, definitely, definitely. I want to. I definitely want to do like some more stuff where it's not, because it's now I got the origin story out of the way. It's like I want to just do some stuff where it's just not him out there
Mhm.
kicking ass, in
Yeah.
the streets, you know. But I haven't really come up with a story yet. But I definitely will be doing more of that stuff.
Awesome, dude. And talking about, black and white comics in the 80s, what were some of the standouts for you since you were picking them up at the time and you're even going back and getting some of the stuff probably that you didn't know existed because there was so much. I mean, it was like a plethora. Everybody, if they even had inkling of talent, was like, "Oh, I'm going to do this," and a lot of it was kicked off because of Eastman and Laird's Ninja Turtles and how
Yeah,
successful that was. So I mean, I can't find it all. Like I try. Like if I go to a shop and I see back issue bins, like I try to find some stuff. But I feel like because of the Kayfabe channel, anybody that watches it like me, if they know there's a shop that has it, like they've
yeah,
already rifled through it. So
yeah. It's tough. I'm. It's getting tougher. It was for the longest time, especially like in the '90s and the early 2000s. You could find that stuff in quarter bins all over the place, and I amassed a lot of it that way. The thing that really kicked it off for me was, well, it was Ninja Turtles. I got into that pretty early on. Like I think I jumped on board with that. I want to say it was like issue 4, maybe.
oh,
I
okay.
started collecting that regularly. Was really into that, but the one that really recall really well, jumping off of the stands at me was Grips. I
Mhm.
bought that first issue of Grips, which a lot of people may notice that the cover of Alt Maverick is an homage to the cover of Grips #1, and yeah, that was I bought that in '86. I think I was like 15 at the time, 14, 15, something like that, and I just loved that everything about that. It was just because it was like Wolverine and Batman, if they didn't give a fuck about like the comics code or anything, it was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like I loved it. It was like that was perfect for a dude of that age. So yeah, I'm trying to remember what else. I was really into like X Mutants, which is kind of it's not really so much outlaw, but it's like black and white. That was Ron Lim's early stuff.
Oh, right, right, yeah,
Man, I don't remember. There's so much, but those are the ones that I was really into at the time. And Sam and Max, like I mentioned before,
right.
that was a huge book for me.
Yeah, Steve Purcell's he's a really dope cartoonist. I really like.
He's so good. Yeah. My selfish part of me with this, he was less successful in film and animation, and he's making more comics because I can't get enough of his stuff.
I know it's always a shame when you see like I'm happy for them, but it sucks that we see less comics when stuff like that happens, right? And it
Yeah,
doesn't always happen. That's not always the case. I think you could I mean most recently I would say Robert Kirkman, right? Like he was highly successful with the Walking Dead show, all the spin-offs, all this stuff, but he never left comics. He
yeah,
still produces comic books all the time and he's always got at least 2 books on the stands. Right now I think he's got 3 ongoings, right? So
yeah,
it does always like kind of bother me when like you have like an indie creator, they have that one project, it blows up, and then you never hear from them again in comic books, kind of,
yeah. I know. I think it kind of separates the people who just have to do it. That's the kind of cartoonist that I really love is people who just like no matter what they have to do comics. It's just in their blood. I don't know. You can't fault people for going where the
Oh
money
yeah,
is.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
I don't blame them either. I mean, people that do comic books, you're not doing it for money. That's for
right.
damn sure. Nobody gets
Exactly.
comic books because they want to be a millionaire. They do it because of the passion. And I think it's funny you what you said, because that's literally what Rob Liefeld said on his podcast like recently. Like he can't not produce comic books. He said,
Yeah.
like he's like, some people they just they need to do it. They have to do it. Like it's
Yeah.
just in them. And like he talks about like Image founders, right? Like how many of them are still drawing comic books? There's only two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
Sure.
only
Yeah. That's
Eric
right. That's right.
Larson and Rob Liefeld. Jim Lee's not drawing comic books. He'll do a
No,
cover, which kind of feels like he's phoning it in because it just looks very generic to his style. He hasn't you look at like his early stuff to now, like I think his earlier stuff is better than the stuff he produces now. I think like certain artists like grow. I think that he plays it safe, in my
yeah.
opinion. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. And I think that's true. I mean, you see, like Liefeld and Larson are really the only guys who I've seen any sort of progression in their art. Really. I
Hmm.
mean, McFarlane is like not. I mean, I see what the stuff that he comes out with every once in a while. Like, I don't think I don't think he's improved much as an artist because I don't think he's been doing it.
Hmm.
I don't know. Lee, I think he might have improved a little bit, but yeah, Liefeld I think has improved a lot. Stuff is like it's different. It's a totally different. Like, you can tell he's been working. He's been
Hmm.
working at his anatomy and stuff, and he's doing it. He's
Yeah.
doing what you got to do.
Yeah, I feel it.
I love that Snake Eyes series. I remember reading that. I've been reading that Snake Eyes series that he's been doing. I
Mhm.
love it, and it's so good.
Yeah.
It's it's great because it's like it's throwing in all these like old GI Joe stuff from my youth. Like there's all these weird like they put in like Bullet Man and like stuff like that. It's really cool. It's
Ah,
a great
it
it's a great
is.
book.
It's a dope book, and I'm very excited for issue 5. Like all these like people inking over his pencils, Jim,
Oh
like, Ed Piscor,
yeah,
like just I was like, nobody. He did like no announcement, right? Like just randomly out of nowhere, he's like, "Oh, all these people are going to be inking over my pencils," and then we
yeah,
got Jim Rugg video of him inking over Liefeld. I was like, dude, I want
yeah,
to see a video of every single person inking over his pencils, because it's such a cool thing that he did. Like he didn't have to do that. He did Snake Eyes, and he talks about it because of his love for GI Joe and the characters and stuff. And to be able and to share that, like the final issue, with all these other creatives and bring them on board, like it's
yeah.
pretty cool.
It is. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to see it.
But let's get back to your stuff. We're moving off of a little topic. So, like I said, like I'm a fellow member of the Ringside Seats group with you. That's how I discovered your work, and me being in the group. Even I think I've mentioned. Well, I don't think I know I've mentioned this to every single person I talked to in the group. Like I got into the group because of Eli, right? One of the admins, one of the moderators of the group, and helping him with the Wizard zine. And like now we got the second one coming out. We have some other projects from fucking the group. IGD is coming out, the 1963 Giant Size. What has been your contribution with those projects? That's the first part of the question. And then also, how has being in the group really helped get your work out there? And like, what is that? How has the kayfabe affected your stuff? Because I think even in the Ringside Seats group, still that thing where like we see stuff and like, oh man, I want to check that out, because I've discovered stuff just as much from the group as I have from Jim and Ed.
Yeah, I'll take the second part of your question first and then get back to the first part.
Okay.
Yeah, I've discovered so much stuff through this group. I mean, it's crazy, like how much, like I'm every week I'm buying I don't know how many comics from people that just see people post their stuff and I'm like, this looks rad as hell. I'm gonna go get it.
Hmm.
And so I've got so much stuff and it's great. I love it. There's just so many people doing so much cool stuff. And yeah, I wouldn't have known about any of it if it hadn't been for this group. I try to do my best to share it when I can, and that's what I think is great about this group is it is very much like a network where people, are sharing their own stuff, but then they also share everybody else's stuff. So you get this exponential growth, with everybody, everybody seeing each other's stuff and showing off, each other's stuff. It's great. I think it's helped me a lot in terms of getting my name out there, and because I think, before I found this group, I felt like I was like sort of like alone in the wilderness, because I didn't have anything to any like sort of I didn't know where to market my stuff because it's so weird. I mean, and it's not, obviously there's weirder comics, but it doesn't fit into like any of these normal sort of superhero genre or whatever. It's really hard to like pin down who my audience is, and I think I've found that through the kayfabe community, which I think there's a lot of people who think like me, who have this sort of we just love comics, and we don't have this compartmentalization that a lot of people have, where it's like you have to be into superhero comics or you have to be into indie comics or whatever. And I think the kayfabe community is sort of a community of people that are just whatever. Give me all of it. It's all good. And I think that's you're finding a lot more cartoonists who are willing to cross those boundaries and do stuff that's doesn't fit into any mold. So getting back to the IGD and all that, yeah. So it's great. There's like a lot of people working together on projects for just collaborating on stuff. I didn't have anything to do really with the Image Grand Disaster, or no, the Image Grand Design. I was working on the Image Grand Disaster, which is the companion sort of flip side thing. So I did a couple of pages. I did like a 3-page story in that, and then I colored some other people's work. Yeah, I think I'm going to be doing something in the 1963 thing as well, which I need to get on. I have not gotten on that yet, but yeah, I'm slated to do a couple pages in that.
Nice. Yeah, I was just talking to Will this past weekend, and we were talking about the 1963, and like I could not find issue 6 for the longest, and somebody like there was like a $40 listing on eBay. I'm like, there's no fucking way that I'm paying this guy $40 for this fucking.
No,
So I put it
50 cents in.
Yeah. So I mean, I ended up putting it on my watch list on mycomicshop.com.
Yeah.
And eventually I got the email. They had it in stock. It was $7.50. I was like, whatever, I'll pay $7.50. I just want the fucking comic so I can read it. I can't find it in bins ever.
I think that book, I think that book was, it didn't sell well.
Yeah.
So I think that as it progressed, each issue had a lower print run. So probably the last one was there probably aren't a lot of them out there.
Yeah, that's what he was saying too. Yeah, I'm excited to see and that's the thing that I love about the group is like the love and passion for comics, and then like watching all of you guys like come together and do these projects. That's why like I don't write. I mean, I could write a story if I wanted to. I mean, I always have ideas that I'll jot down. I just don't ever put them into like not practice, that's not the right way. I don't ever like actually, nothing comes from them. I'll write, if I get an idea, I write it down so that I don't forget, right? But I wanted to be in the Wizard zine because like helping edit it, I was like, fuck, I wish I would have known earlier so that I could have like submitted something. But now I got like an interview I'm going to put in there, and I got an article that I wrote. So like, it's just cool to see everybody come together, not to do it for monetary reasons. Like it's all because of the love for the medium and the projects that you guys are doing. Like it's fucking dope. Like I really love that. And that's why, like I try to help, like this is my way, like chatting with you, or like, I got some videos that I'm going to be recording. Like, I mean, I have so much, like you said, I have so much self-published work by you guys that I'm going to make groups. I'm going to do like three cartoonists at a time so that I can do videos. Cause like, otherwise I'm going to have like, this so much. Right. So that's my way to help kind of like share your guys' work. Cause I do like it and can't figure out any other way to help promote other than using my channel, and I feel that's something missing that I don't see, you know what I mean? I don't see anybody else doing this, like talking to creators like yourself. And I figured like, okay, well, that's how I can stand out. I can stand out while also doing something that that makes me happy. Cause like, it makes me happy to kind of bring eyes to new work. Like, that's why I like working in a shop. When somebody asks me for a rec, and they're like, just give me whatever. That's the best thing. Cause like, and then watching them buy it and come back and be like, dude, that was really dope. Like that's satisfying to me. So I hope that I can do some of that with this by talking to you, by talking to Will, by talking to all the guys in the group, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I think you're doing good work because it's nice that somebody's doing it, because I think there's not a lot of people who are willing to, do things for selfless reasons like that. It's like, I don't know what you have. I mean, you obviously you have everything to gain, but but I think a lot of people just want to get their clicks, get their views, and they don't care about what not doing anything positive for the community. But I do appreciate that.
Oh, dude, yeah, of course.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it. I get what you're trying to say. Like, yeah, like I don't make money off this. You know what I mean? Like all I do is I put my time. I put my time to chat with you guys, and I put my time into editing to make sure that it looks somewhat somewhat put together. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a professional video editor either, so I do the best that I can to like make it look cool. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it because I love comics. I love and I'm passionate about it. Like I think it's evident when you hear me talk comics, or if at the shop, like I get like my eyes get all big when someone's like they're talking about something that I'm into. So yeah, I mean,
no, man, I know that feeling. It's just There's nothing that excites me like comics, man. It's like, I mean, I love music, I love a lot of stuff, but it's like comics is, man, it's a different level, man. It's just I feel it deep in my gut,
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like I could never give up comics. Like I don't get. I mean, I'll be reading until like I either can't see any. You know what I mean? Like that's when I'm going to stop. Or I'm 6 feet under. Like that's the only thing that's going to stop me from reading comics.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the things that I've come to realize recently. Like I in the last few years, I guess since I've been making comics seriously, I've been kind of looking at comics a little bit differently, and I've been really I sort of treat every comic that I read, I sort of treat it like it's part of my education. Like I read comics for enjoyment, but at the same time, I'm like trying to learn what I can from everything, and that kind of looking at things that way has opened me up so that I can almost enjoy anything. Like any comic you put in front of me, man, I can find some way. I can find something about it that is beneficial. I can learn from or enjoy on some level. It's very rare that I'll come across a comic that's just like absolutely worthless. It's like there's something there for somebody. It's like maybe it's not for you, but somebody might get something out of it. That's why I try not to get down on anybody's work. Because it's like maybe not be exactly what I'm looking for, but somebody loves it. It's the same thing. I love stuff that other people hate, but hey, it's just the way it goes.
Yeah, that's why I try, like, if I'm talking about, like, we'll do, like, my buddy Dylan and I will do our weekly reads review. Like, we'll pick a few books, we'll talk about it, or like we'll pick a book to read, that a graphic novel also that week that we'll read. And I try not to bash anything too bad, because like if it's not for me, it's not for me. And I'll be honest, I'll give him an honest assessment of how I felt about the book. But at the same time, like there was a time recently where I'm like, dude, that book was just trash. Like that, they shouldn't even have published it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Here, it's clear that like there was no editorial direction. Like it's so out of character, and it was from DC Comics. But I do try, like, and then I read Department of Truth. I don't, like recently, and like, yeah, I'm like, it's just not for me. I the art was amazing, but like the story, like everybody was so like enamored with it, and I felt like to me it was average. But
Right.
but that doesn't mean somebody else doesn't love it. You know what I mean? So like I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, this book sucks, you shouldn't read it. Like, that's not what this channel is about. I'm not gonna, I didn't start my channel to do speculation for the speculators, and I didn't start my channel to fucking sit there and bash stuff. I started it because of a love and passion, and that's all I want to share. I just want to share positivity. you know.
Yeah.
So I do want to ask, like if you could share maybe some of the stuff that you're currently into, some of the stuff that you're digging that you kind of want to rec to some of the people listening and watching.
I was afraid you were going to ask me this question.
Sorry.
Because that's all right. It's just
Okay. That's why you had to light that stove, bro. You gotta light. You had to light the stove, bro.
Yeah. There's so much. There's
I know.
so much that it's like I'm afraid. Like I don't want to leave anybody out. But I'll tell you, man. There's like, well, if you want to get a general overview, like I'm saying, man, like just that just the kayfabe group, like you say. I mean, there's so much in there. It's like you just dip your toe in there, man. You're gonna find you throw a rock, you're gonna hit something that's awesome.
Right.
I was just you just had Sam Lockwood on there. His I'm loving his stuff. The 93 grind out and all that.
Yeah, it's dope.
Great stuff. Man. Oh, I got the Glorp and Florp shirt on. I don't know if you read that.
No, dude,
Glorp
what is that?
Florp. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on the dude's name who does it.
It's in the group though. If I search that, will I find it?
Yeah, but it's great. He's done like I don't know how many 4 or 5 issues, but it's kind of like a like psychedelic sort of space adventure, but it's got a very underground feel too.
Okay.
It's hard to describe, but it's cool stuff. It's funny. That's confusing because I just said Glorp and Florp is the name of that comic, and then there's Glor Comics, which is completely different, which is done by Brad McGinty. I absolutely love his stuff. He's done not a lot of stuff. I think he's only done maybe 4 or 5 books, but he does this kind of like it's very underground, but very modern at the same time. Definitely like there's throwbacks to the old underground stuff of the 60s and 70s, but got a very modern flavor too. He just came out with a book called I can't remember what it's called, but that's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles parody.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen that. Okay.
I can't remember what it's called, but it's done as though it's done as though it were like a Russian bootleg Turtles comic, and it's just it's all written in this like broken English and stuff, and it's like done in this really like sort of purposefully bad 80s style. It's just it's beautiful. It's a great book. So yeah, all that stuff is good. Anything that he's done has been wonderful. Brad Dwyer's 8 Men of the Apocalypse. Have you seen that one? That's a wonderful.
I've heard of that. I haven't got it yet.
Yeah, I just think he just put on issue number 5. I haven't read it yet, but I love that stuff. His stuff is amazing. And I don't know. I could go on. I don't want to. I'd rather leave out everybody than.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. I get it.
I'm gonna as soon as this is over, I'm gonna be like, I should have mentioned that, but it's like I can't think of everything.
I mean, just the broad overstatement. Like anybody in the kayfabe ringside seats, all their work is worth checking out. And anybody listening or watching, just get ready because I'm not stopping with these interviews. I'm not going to stop with the coverage. So if you're wondering who we're talking about, I mean, those people are now going to get added to the list of people I'm going to reach out to.
Yeah.
So, and I already have like 6 more interviews lined up coming up in the next like month and a half. So, and if you're listening or you're watching, guys in the group, and you are down to do an interview and I haven't reached out to you yet, message me on Facebook and I'm always down to chat and I'll fit you in somewhere on the schedule. I forgot to ask you, like earlier when we were talking about your work, like do you do most of it traditionally still, or are you drawing digitally?
I mix it up. It kind of depends on different factors, but the Ulf Maverick book I did entirely traditionally, except for I added the like screen tones digitally. But yeah, I wanted to give that a very natural feel because of the subject matter, because I was trying to do this 80s sort of homage. Most of the stuff I've done, I do digitally, mainly just because of just the ease of it. Really, it's like I can work. I like to be able to work outside and not be like chained to a drawing table all the time.
I feel you. Yeah.
So I work on a tablet, and I think that I feel like the technology has gotten to the point where it's like it's really. I feel like if you can't tell the difference, it doesn't matter, man. You know, the process is has become so much like real drawing. Like, I mean, I say real drawing, it is real drawing, but it's just using different tools. You know.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you mean traditional tools is what you're
yeah,
saying.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing is it's just more forgiving. You know, it's like you put
Mhm.
down a line, you're not committed to that line. That's the major advantage of it, really. Um,
Yeah.
it's like it
It's
doesn't
fun.
help you make a better line. It just helps you. Like if you make a bad line, you can get rid of it. Try again.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny because like on the comic symposium this past weekend, Jim Mahfood was on, and he was talking about, somebody asked him if do you do digital or traditional, and he's like, I'm all traditional. Sometimes I'll scan it in and maybe do a touch up or two. But he talked about Mike Huddleston's decorum at Image and how like it's so good and like you can't even tell because he even has the imperfections
Yeah,
there. You know what I mean? And like he has like the mixed media type stuff to where like it almost looks as if he's painting these things or drawing these things traditionally.
yeah,
He plays with so many different styles. So it is interesting to see the growth of digital art and how you can pretty much replicate anything you can do on a pen and paper or on a canvas with a brush, with a pen, with a pencil, everything digitally.
yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
You can, and but the thing that I think is funny is that a lot of times I find I think a lot of people who are opposed to digital work, they have this idea that it's somehow easier, like that you're like taking a shortcut, which as I said before, it is easier in the sense that it's easier to change, to correct mistakes, but it's not going to help you do anything that you can't do. It doesn't draw for you, so it's like you
Hmm.
got to have those skills. And the funny thing is I find a lot of things that you can do digitally, you can do traditionally, you can replicate them digitally, but it's actually more difficult to do it digitally. And I run into these artists who are doing stuff, they're spending all this time digitally replicating things that they could do so easily traditionally. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's like it's a weird thing. So it's like I like to try to find a balance. It's like I'll do some traditional stuff and some digital stuff, but I think if you limit yourself to one or the other, you're really kind of handicapping yourself, because there's things that work in either way, or in either medium, that you can't do in the other. So
Yeah.
it's good to have skill sets that translate to both.
Yeah, agreed. No, yeah, I mean, I've watched my wife. She has done all the paintings that are behind me, and
Yeah,
I got her a Surface Pro a couple years ago for Christmas. Like, and she like I watch her, and it's not easy. Like you have to. It's another skill you have to teach yourself as an artist. Like just because you can draw or paint doesn't mean you just go to the tablet and it's like, okay, I'm replicating it. Like you have to learn it
right.
all over again. Um,
Yeah, and especially, and if you want to make money selling art, you know, you have to be able to do it physically. It's like you're not,
exactly.
you know, you're gonna go out there and at a convention, you got to have something to sell. And
Yeah,
you're not going
exactly.
to be selling a lot of digital prints or whatever. And I suppose you could, but you're not.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, with all these NFTs things.
Yeah.
So before we get out of here, I just wanted to ask what else you got work that you're working on, what we can expect next from you, and then if you could also share all the links where we can find you online.
Okay. I'm in between projects at the moment. I'm working on a book that will be I'm done doing with some other people. Yeah, it's basically, well, I can't get too much into it. It's going to be a Kickstarter thing
Okay.
eventually, but I can't really talk too much about that. I'll let people know about that when it comes on. But I've been working on that, and I am working on that currently. But as far as my own stuff, the Rubber Wolf stuff, I don't know what the next thing is. I'm still trying to figure that out. I've started working on the next 21st Century Big Spider, and I've got a little bit into that already. there's going to be a preview, like the first few pages, I think are going to be in the next the Wizard #2.
Oh, cool.
I believe I submitted them. I think hopefully he's going to use them. I think so. So I've got a little bit of a jump start on that. So it's more likely than not it's going to be another 21st Century Big Spider issue will be next, but I don't know. I might do another Ulf Maverick. I might do something. I've got a lot of different ideas, but hopefully it won't be more than I want to say maybe 2 or 3 months before I get something out, but I don't know what it is right now.
All right, cool. And where can we find all your stuff? Where can we buy it online? Where can we follow you on all social media stuff?
You can find, probably the easiest thing would be easiest thing is if you go to rubberwolf.com. That's all one word, rubberwolf.com. Then that's just basically, there's really not much on that site, but it's got links to all my other stuff. Instagram and store, just rubberwolf.bigcartel.com. That's where you can buy my comics and stuff. And then you can find me on Instagram at BigTony308. Yeah, you can find me around Facebook. I'm not on Twitter, but Instagram, Facebook, I'll be there.
All right, cool, man. Well, I'm going to drop all those links down below for everybody listening, watching. And thank you again, Tony, for taking time to chat with me. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun. And dude, let's talk again when you can talk about that Kickstarter, because I'm down to help get the word out on that.
Will do. Thanks.
All right, man. Thanks again, and talk to you soon.
All right.